Hello to all and best wishes from a sunny Istanbul. This is Zeynep Tura. I was hoping to make this presentation in person in Yerevan, but our ISO 17024 assessment coincided with the annual meeting. So I hope the ICMCI meeting is a great success, and congratulations to my colleague Silva and her team for this lovely organization. So, as the saying goes, God doesn't like plans. Well, naturally, my plan didn't work out. Our project plan went completely off track. But come on, I mean, which plan ever worked perfectly as planned? We're all consultants here. So, anyway, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share our latest project and achievements with you today. I'd like to tell you about our journey to become a national testing and certification center and our ISO 17024 accreditation. Now, I hope this will be a source of inspiration for those IMCs out there who wish to develop their own certification systems. And I'll try to be as brief as possible, and if I seem to ramble too much, you can always skip to the next slide. So here. The overall goal of our project that started in 2020 was to establish an ISO 17024 accredited National Testing and Certification Center for Management Consultants and 10 different human resources based white collar professions. Our main reasons for doing this project can be summarized in 5 headings. Firstly, registered, competent, well-trained, certified, and tax-paying, decent management consultants are under constant threat from uncertified, unregistered, self-appointed, so-called consultants who undermine the sector as well as discredit the consulting profession. Our approach aims to provide a system that will enable management consultants to continuously improve themselves and raise their service standards through testing and certification. To encourage those who provide substandard services to adapt and improve themselves by expanding the system is another aim of this project. Secondly, some of the management consultants who work only locally admit to feeling intimidated by the CMT certification process, while most who work locally tell us that they do not view it as a necessary or required tool. Our solution to this was to build a local system based up on ISO 2700 and incorporating the CMC framework to ensure that it is used as a common standard for management consultants in Turkey. Even though it is not labeled as CMC, it is quite the equivalent of a CMC certification. Thirdly, public authorities do not accept CMC designation as a nationally valid certification for management consultants in Turkey. So we decided to design a national certification system by developing local management consulting standards and competencies in parallel with existing international standards and competencies. Of course, as the international standards and competencies evolve, so will we do the necessary changes in our own standards and competencies. The fourth point was public agencies express a desire to work with certified and competent management consultants, but are unable to choose the correct one because they cannot specify CMC or ISO 2700 as mandatory in their terms of reference documents. So to overcome this, we developed a national management consulting certification system in alignment with European Qualifications Framework, ISO 2700, and ICMCI's Management Consulting Competencies Framework that will be accepted by all public agencies. And lastly, most of the 10 selected human resources related professions lack adequate training systems and methodology, while college or higher level education for most do not exist. Our solution was to design training programs followed by national certification for the selected professions, thus helping the individuals in these professions to advance in their careers. So the 11 professions that we have worked on in the project were management consultant, human resources manager, human resources expert, training expert, organizational development expert, industrial relations expert, administrative affairs expert, personnel performance evaluation expert, that's a mouthful, payroll and personal affairs expert, another one, human resources personnel, and executive assistant. Now, our journey here's our journey. Our journey took a long time, required involvement of a lot of experts, consultants, and professionals, all of whom volunteered readily. We couldn't have done any of this without their support. In addition, I have to admit that at the beginning, we as the team, the project management team, we were completely clueless as to how to start, let alone how to proceed. We had a lot of hurdles on the way, but YDD and the management consulting sector in Turkey will benefit greatly in the coming years. Initially, we had applied for an EU funding in 2019, and we were informed that we had been accepted, and we were waiting for the contracting authorities' approval to start the project when, bam, COVID-19 pandemic hit. And then the world came to a stop, and everything was at a standstill for the next 8 months. So towards the end of September 2020, we were asked to come in to sign the contract under strict isolation procedures. The lockdown period also forced us to do everything online, including recruitment of the project team, the project planning phases, task force selection, meeting coordination, purchases, arranging events, arranging meetings like opening meetings, search conferences, and all. Then, for the 11 professions, we called in experienced professionals and consultants from our network. We formed teams of 10 to 15 experts. First, we trained all these teams on how to develop standards, list out the competencies, and then design the qualification system. With the help of a facilitator, each team started working on developing the national standards for the assigned profession. It took over 4 months and lots of online meetings and long office hours, home office hours actually, to complete our initial drafts. These were edited and then sent to the National Vocational Qualifications Authority, named MYK, for review and approval. The approval process took much longer than anticipated because it turned out that the Vocational Qualifications Authority did not have any procedure in place for working online. So about 4 months delay later, we started our committee meetings, and after a few small revisions, the standards were approved. We were very happy and we were about to celebrate when we were told that the standards were approved by MYK, but we had to wait for the official gazette, which would be signed by the presidency, to start announcing the completion. Of course, we didn't have any time to wait, so while waiting for the official stamp, our task forces started working on the qualifications that would form the basis for our testing and certification system. This took another 3 months, but this time the VQA committee approvals came in very quickly. Once the qualification methods were approved, the task forces started working on developing question sets for each profession. In total, we developed over 5,000 questions and 63 case studies to be used in the examinations. Of course, all these had to be uploaded somewhere, had to be accessible, and had to be guarded well. So these were uploaded to a cloud-based software that we had purchased and adapted for this process. We also designed a very strict data management and security management system. In addition, we designed new logos, developed new websites, and prepared videos for promotion and visibility. As we had no more time to delay, immediately after this phase, we started to work on developing our own ISO 17024 personal certification system standards and applied to the National Accreditation Agency called TÜRKAK for the accreditation. By this time, we were past our 18th month and had to ask for a 6-month extension. And of course, we were going very low on funds. We were prepared for a 2 or 3 months delay, but it took over 11 months for TÜRKAK to find the suitable assessors for our accreditation, which meant we had to ask for another 6 months extension, and we also had to finance the remaining period from YDD's own resources as the project funding was completely finished. We were working with a skeleton crew, mostly volunteers, and only one paid staff was all that we could afford. Finally, the accreditation took place, and 3 months later, we were rewarded with our ISO 17024 certificate. Another giant hurdle was out of the way. This was followed by an accreditation from the Vocational Qualifications Authority, and finally, in May 2024, we received our acceptance and permission to start the testing center. As it was the beginning of summer session and our resources had been completely depleted, we decided to sit tight and do our planning in summer and then start again in autumn, which is now. The initial overall project budget was 215,000 euros, 80% of which was funded by EU, and the remaining 35% euros was funded by YDD. However, as the project took 36 months rather than the initially planned 18, the final project budget went up to 250,000 euros, and all the difference had to be funded by YDD. In total, YDD had to raise 70,000 euros to complete the project. In the meantime, and this is very important, the currency exchange rate for 1 euro was 7 Turkish liras at the beginning of the project, and the currency exchange rate for 1 euro went up to 30 liras at the end of the 36-month period. Imagine that. I'm emphasizing this because all these unexpected delays, waits, expenses, insufficient budgeting, etc., and devaluation and bad economic management put us in bad standing with ICMCI. Sorry. Now things are starting to look up. We are hoping to start vocational training by the end of October and looking forward to starting national certification in December. So here are some outputs and some snapshots from the project. Here are our task forces online. These are our heroes. Meetings, meetings, and still more meetings. All on working, all the participants are voluntary experts. Here is a search conference and a training on standards and competencies. We have now 3 registered brands, the YDD brand, the YDD Certification Center brand, and the YDD Academy brand. Thanks to the project, we have 3 additional websites, which are the certification website, the academy website, and the online application website. And finally, we were able to conduct one search conference face-to-face, which made all of us extremely happy. And here are a few shots from our test and certification center and a pilot test. And this is what an ISO 17024 accreditation certificate looks like. Now, after waiting for 14 months, we were, fantasizing about certificates which would be large with nice stamps on it, and it would have all these glitter effects and everything, and we got this. Okay, so it was such a disappointment to receive this poorly designed certificate, but still when I think of all the time, the money, the effort, the tears, and the sweat that went into it, this is our most important asset. So here's an inventory of all inputs, activities, and outputs. Now, 250,000 euros, 48 months, over 200 online meetings. These are the inputs, 10 face-to-face meetings, 126 task force members that had to be coordinated, 22,500 people reached online, 896 face-to-face participants, national qualification training were given to 524 people. We accomplished 121 pilot tests and 63 case study tests. We did 4 accreditation assessment simulations. And there were over 10,000 pages printed, copied, binded, folded, whatever. Over 100 printer cartridges changed. Over 35,000 emails sent. 14 WhatsApp groups and continuous instant messaging 24/7. And another input item was gazillion cups of coffee, tons of sweat, tears, and about a pint of blood, thanks to the infinite paper cuts and staple pricks. We signed cooperation protocols with 4 universities, produced 2 videos, 3 websites, 11 national standards, 11 national qualifications, 1 ISO 1724 accreditation, and we established 1 national test and certification center. So what's next? Well, I mentioned the 2024, this year's program, but next year we intend to extend our scope and add at least 3 more new professions to our pool. And we also plan to expand the volume of trainings under YDD Academy. Our main aim or goal for YDD is to become financially secure, to become self-sufficient, and to become an organization that can thrive and grow independent of membership fees. Okay. 2, to become a reference point for certification in management consultancy and all human resources related professions. And finally, and this is my biggest wish, we wish to make the management consulting level 6 certification mandatory for all management consultants in Turkey. When we accomplish this, then it will be a new day for the management sector. So, dear Rima, if you're there and watching this presentation, I know that you started tapping your foot and looking at your watch anxiously a couple of minutes ago. So don't worry, this is the last slide. I love you. So, dear ICMCI members, thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions about our project, the accomplishments, the developing standards and qualifications in accordance with competency frameworks and the software and the works, please do contact me. My contact info is on the slide. I wish you all a very successful meeting and I hope to see you at the next one. So, bye-bye.